Shalom, shalom, Israel. It's your brother Yagabar. I want to give all praises to the one true power Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Bakadash. Yahweh is the most high God, Yahweh Shai. This is the world, and then we call Jesus Christ. The Bakadash is the Holy Spirit and the family people. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder prophets, the elder bishops, who dwell in the spirit, teach his word and believe in his word. Lord, we're in the most high continue to put it in the scripture. Right, so we want to teach his word and believe in his word. Lord, we're going to teach his Lord to be sincere and shalom to him that our believers in his word always continue in life, pursuing to be a loving, a silent, and virtuous wife. Lord, we're in the most high mercy of all the brothers and sisters that's not in faith. Today, we're going to read Psalm 78. Lord willing, later today, I can read it again, but read it in the NLT. It's a beautiful chapter. Definitely, if you are in the basics, if you don't know, or if you do know, to encourage yourself, motivate yourself, I advise you to read it, or you can just listen to this recording. So let's get into it. We're going to do the KJV. This is Psalm 78, verse 1. Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable, and will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from the children, showing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord Yahweh and his strength and his wonderful works that he hath done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children who should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn, rebellious generation, a generation that is set not their heart aright, whose spirit was not stand fast with God. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, turned back in the day of battle. They kept not the covenant of God and refused to walk in his laws, and forgot his works, and his wonders that he had showed them. Marvelously things did he in the sight of their fathers in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through. And he made the waters to stand as a heap. In the daytime also he led them with a cloud, and all the night with a light of fire. He clave the rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as out of the great depths. He brought streams also out of the rock, and caused water to run down like rivers. And they sinned yet more against him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. They tempt God in their heart by asking meat for their lust. Yeah, they spake against God. They said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? Behold, he smote the rock, that the waters gushed out, the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for the people? Therefore, the Lord Yahweh heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also. came up against Israel because they believed not in God and trusted not in his salvation, though he had commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven, and he had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them the corn of heaven. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full, and he caused an east wind to blow in the heaven. By his power he brought in the south wind. He ran flesh also upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as the sand of the sea. He let it fall in the midst of their camp, round about their habitations. So they did eat, and were well filled, for he gave them their own desire. They were not estranged from their lust. But while their meat was yet in their mouths, the wrath of God came upon them, and slew the fattest of them, and smote down the chosen men of Israel. For all this they sinned still, and believed not for his wondrous works. Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. And when he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and required earlier after God, and they remembered that God was their rock, and the high God their Redeemer. Nevertheless, they did flatter him with their mouth. They lied unto him with their tongues, for their heart was not right with him. Neither will they stand fast in his covenant. But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity and destroyed them not. Yet many a time turned he his anger away, and did not stir up all his wrath. For he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passeth away and cometh not again. How oft did they provoke him in the wilderness, and grieve him in the desert? Yet they turn back and tempt God, and limit the Holy One of Israel. They remember not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy. How he had wrought his signs in Egypt, and his wonders in the field of Zoan. And he had turned their rivers into blood, and their floods that they could not drink. He sent diverse sorts of flies among them, which devoured them, and frogs, which destroyed them. He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost. He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. He cast upon the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation, and trouble, by sending evil angels among them. He made a way to his anger. He spread not their soul from death, but gave their life over to pestilence, and smote all the firstborn in Egypt, the chief of their strength, in the tabernacles of Ham, but made his own people to go forth like sheep, and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. And he laid them on safety, so that they fared not, but the sea overwhelmed their enemies. And he brought them to the border of his sanctuary, even to this mountain, which his right hand had punished. He cast out the heathen also before them, and divided an inheritance by line, and made the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tents. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High God, and kept not his testimonies, but turned back, and dwelt unfaithfully like their fathers. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow, for they provoked him to anger with their high places, and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. When God heard this, he was wroth, and greatly abhorred Israel, so that he forsook the tabernacle of Shiloh, the tent which he placed among men, and delivered his strength into captivity, and his glory into the enemy's hand. He gave his people over also unto the sword, and was wroth with his inheritance. The fire consumed their young men, and their maidens were not given to marriage. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows made no lamentation. Then the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai, awaked as one out of sleep, like a mighty man that shouted by reason of wine. And he smote his enemies in their hinder parts. He put them to a perpetual reproach. Moreover, he refused the tabernacle of Joseph and chose not the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Judah, the Mount Zion which he loved. He built his sanctuary like high palaces, like the earth which he hath established forever. He chose David also his servant, and took him from the sheepfold, from following the ewes great with young, talking about lambs. He brought him to feed Jacob his people and Israel his inheritance. So he fed them according to the integrity of his heart and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Hashem Shai. Every time, man. He does it every time. You have to read, you have to read, you have to read. I'm not the best. I have to read more too. Even if I'm telling you to read a chapter a day, I gotta read another chapter. You can never do enough for Yahweh Shalom Shai. Romans 15:4, it tells you the things that were written was written for your learning. This is not the only chapter or the only book the Lord brings back things that we have done. Your past makes us who we are right now. Your spirit makes you that holy people and that inheritance of Yahweh Hashem Al Shai. Your past is here so you can despise it. Your past is here so that you can do better by calling and believing in Yahweh Hashem Al Shai. Lord willing, this was edifying. Lord willing, it motivates you to go read Psalms 78 for yourself. And Lord willing, I can come back and read it again in the NLT. Because the more you read it, KJV, NLT, GNT, which I will prefer, it hits even more. It hits. So with that, I'm going to say something.